"Are you truly our child?" my dad questioned, eyeing my report card. As I grew up in a family of doctors, I always assumed that pursuing a similar path was the expected course for me. Consequently, I've dedicated myself to studying diligently ever since I was a child, and my grades have always been at the top of my class. But to my dad, a doctor himself, that's apparently not enough. He says it has to be at the national level or it doesn't count. Hearing this again and again, I gradually grew to despise the profession of being a doctor. My name is Isa. Both my parents are doctors, and so are my relatives. I have an older sister, and my parents always assumed that my sister and I would naturally go into the medical field. My sister Anna has always been exceptional and has been the favorite of our parents. Everyone thought Anna would become a doctor, and she became one without any setbacks. I think that's impressive. But Anna always got whatever she wanted, and she was praised even for the smallest things. She was so indulged that I was envious. I was always being compared to Anna, and I was always told that I wasn't good enough, even though Anna is 5 years older than me. The fact that I couldn't do what Anna could do was treated like a failure on my part when it should have been expected. My parents stopped caring about me when Anna was stressed from studying. She would verbally abuse me, and sometimes she even raised her hand in anger at me. But I never told anyone, knowing that my parents wouldn't believe me. I went to a college preparatory school, but I had no intention of going to college. After constant verbal abuse, I left home. I was already working part-time, planning for this, and I had enough money to get by for now. When I graduated from high school, I found a living job at a hotel in a tourist area, and they took me in. I needed my parents' consent because I was still a minor, but they wrote the consent form without a word. They probably just wanted me to leave the failure that I was as soon as possible. I hadn't contacted my family for over 6 months since leaving home, and I hadn't heard from them either. But as the end of the year approached, I got a call from Daddy. "Come home for the New Year's celebration. The relatives are gathering, and you'll be the host," Daddy said. Just that, and hung up without waiting for my response. At home, it's a tradition for relatives to gather for a feast every New Year's. Since the relatives are all doctors, it's always been a painful experience for me, and of course, I always end up doing the odd jobs. I'm responsible for everything from cleaning the day before to preparing food, drinks, baths, and futons for the relatives who stay over. Mom just gives me instructions, and Anna, of course, ignores me altogether. I've wondered why it has to be me, but I felt guilty about not pursuing a medical career, and it was easier to go along with it. I thought I wouldn't be called because I left home, but Daddy contacted me, so I decided to go home for just one day. My hotel job was. Of course, in its busy season, I couldn't take a long break. I planned to go home and leave quickly, using my job as an excuse. When I got home that day, Daddy yelled at me, "You're late. Everyone's coming soon. Why didn't you come back yesterday?" But I'm busy at work this time of year, so it was hard to take even a day off. I tried to explain. "Stop making excuses. Hurry up and get ready," he snapped. I entered the house where Mom was waiting. There was no feeling of relief coming back home. I just cleaned, cooked, and prepared drinks as Mom told me to. As the relatives gathered and the party started, I was out of the loop as usual, but that was more comfortable for me. Complaints about the hospital or gossip about patients, it was nothing but bad-mouthing others. I even thought that becoming a doctor made everyone talk bad about someone. For me, It was not a fun space at all, but Anna seemed to enjoy mingling, looking down on other doctors and patients, making fun of them. As I carried drinks, Camille approached me. "So, Isa, being a doctor was impossible for you, huh?" he said with a smirk, and I felt disgusted. I wanted to say that I hadn't failed to become a doctor. I just didn't want to. I don't want to be someone who can't live without demeaning others. Like you. I swallowed the words that almost came out because it would only drain my energy to say them. Night came and I fled from my family home. My parents complained about how the cleaning would be done, who would entertain tomorrow. But I didn't care. "I have to work early tomorrow," I said, without even bringing a change of clothes. I just said that and quickly boarded the bus home. That was the only contact with my family for a year. When it came, I thought, not again. Every year I took a day off, went home, and immediately returned. It wasn't that I didn't find it bothersome, but it was only one day a year. I lived at home until I graduated from high school, and they even paid for my college preparatory school despite not going to college. So, I figured it wouldn't hurt to show my face at home. That much. 7 years have passed since then, and I'm now 25. I still visit home once a year. Unchanged. It's that time of year again, I thought as I started thinking that the phone rang. I assumed it was Daddy, but when I looked at the screen, an unexpected name was displayed. I pressed the call button. Anna. I hardly ever get a call from Anna. I picked up the phone fearfully, thinking something might have happened to my parents. But contrary to my fears, Anna was in high spirits. "Hey, you know the young CEO at your workplace? He's been on TV a lot lately, hasn't he?" she said with an excited voice. This attitude from Anna was a first. I was confused and a bit scared. He has opened a few new hotels, so he has had more opportunities to be on TV. I said. As I said that, Anna happily replied, "Introduce me to him." I fell in love with him when I saw him on TV the other day. Plus, he's a young master, right? I think he'd suit me. I was at a loss for words. To think she'd contact me for something like this. What does she mean by suit me? Gentle Jack and Anna, who likes to look down on others, would never match. While I was lost for words, Anna continued the conversation. "Oh, I see. You, a lowly worker, wouldn't have a chance to be close to the CEO. Maybe you've never even met him. Even if you have, a plain woman like you wouldn't stay in his memory." Even though I didn't respond, Anna kept talking, satisfying herself. I tried to interrupt, but Anna's momentum was unstoppable. "That's right. Do you know when the CEO will come to your place? I'll stay over that day. If I can meet him face to face, he's mine. He won't resist a beauty like me. So make a reservation and let me know. Of course, since I'm going out of my way to stay over, you'll have to cover the lodging costs." I was speechless. "But Anna, aren't you having arranged meetings for marriage in our family? It's customary to be married by 30, and many go through arranged meetings." I thought Anna had done that already, but what did this mean, arranged meetings? There's no one decent. The other day, it was a 35-year-old guy introduced to me. I was disheartened by hearing that. So Anna looks down on even her arranged meeting partners. That doesn't mean I have to introduce her to Jack. I told her it was impossible and hung up the phone. A month later, on New Year's Day, I went back home for just one day. I planned to entertain my relatives as usual and then leave quickly. But this year, My relatives were unusually intrusive. "You work at a hotel, don't you?" Camille said, followed by Mom saying, "Indeed. We're impressed you can do a job that's not as essential as ours." Even Daddy chimed in, "I'm glad you left the house early now." "I don't have to hear from the neighbors about what you're doing." "I'm sorry I'm such an embarrassment." I knew they felt that way, but hearing it all at once was indeed sad. Anna said, laughing, "You don't have any redeeming qualities, so you'll be alone forever, right?" Her words made my sadness disappear. I wanted to give it right back to her. I had finally released the emotions I've been holding back against Anna. "Anna, you're 30. You're 5 years older than me. What are you going to do if you keep having such high expectations? You'll be left behind." I blurted out those words, and Daddy was furious. "How dare you say that about Anna? Apologize now. My parents were always on Anna's side. Anna was their only darling. If that's the case, I wish they would live as a family of 3 forever." I sigh, ignoring Daddy's rage that seemed to make Daddy even angrier. "What's with that attitude? Who do you think raised you this far?" Mom was nodding beside Daddy. The relatives were the same. It was the consensus of all the relatives. I felt completely fed up with that thought, but before I could open my mouth, Daddy yelled, "You're a failure like you are ashamed of our family. Get out now." The expression on his face was clearly mocking me. I took a deep breath and opened my mouth. "I won't be coming here anymore after this year," I said, picked up my belongings, and headed for the entrance. "Thank you for everything up to now." Then I heard the sound of a car outside. When I opened the door with my shoes on, a luxury car was parked there. My parents and Anna had noticed the car sound and came out. A man was getting out of the driver's seat. Anna was the first to recognize the person. "It's President." It was Jack, the president of my company, the person Anna had asked me to introduce before. Jack got out and began to walk toward the entrance. Anna said excitedly, "I saw. Could it be the Jew?" It seemed like she wanted to say, "Are you going to introduce him?" I laughed. "Sorry to keep you waiting." "I was just leaving," I said to Jack, and he also smiled. "I thought it was about time, so I came to pick you up." Our conversation left my parents and Anna in a state of shock. Behind them, I could see the faces of the relatives who had come out to see what was happening. Daddy was staring at Jack, dumbfounded. Jack walked up to Daddy. I apologized for my late greeting. Following that, I leaned close to Jack and said, "He's my fiancé. We're getting married next month." "Ha!" Was that Anna's voice, my parents' voice, or both? I said with a laugh, "But I have no intention of inviting you to the wedding. I have no lingering attachment to this house, so I don't think I'll be coming back. It seems this wasn't the place for me to return to after all." After Jack proposed to me, he said he wanted to greet my parents, so I explained my situation up until now. Everyone noticed the problem in my family due to my reluctance to go home, and they understood once they heard about the bad reputation of the hospital Anna had spoken about. It seemed Jack decided to come and pick me up, ignoring my stunned family. I continued, "Speaking of which, there's a new hotel opening near Daddy's hospital. I'm involved in the project, and when I was doing the local research, I found out that Daddy's place has been involved in multiple medical malpractices and scandals. Is that right, Daddy?" Daddy's face changed color at this. "You're not involved in this, are you?" "Daddy, The local people were so shocked by the bad reputation. Anna works there too. Are you sure it's okay? According to the locals, the reputation of Daddy and Anna is the worst. I was shocked to hear from the locals, like father, like daughter, referring to Daddy and Anna at that time. I also heard that Daddy and Anna were causing scandals, and I felt somewhat responsible for it. That's why I'm excited to make the hotel business a success and please the locals. In contrast, Daddy and Anna looked pale since I had told my fiancé Jack everything. He simply opened the passenger door without any unnecessary interruption. I met Jack right after leaving home under the previous president's policy. Jack, the next president, was working in the field, and we became close friends. I heard later that he fell in love with me at first sight. Unlike before, where I was constantly denied, the more I worked hard, the more I was appreciated. I worked hard because I enjoyed it, and he seemed to like that attitude too. Jack took over as president after the previous one fell ill and proposed to me about 6 months ago. His words asking for my support resonated with me. Since accepting the proposal, I've been learning various things, focusing on business studies. I realized that I don't hate studying, but rather enjoy gaining various knowledge. What I hated was studying only to become a doctor. When I find something fun, I tend to look into it, and the more knowledge I gain, the more I want to do. As I was about to get into the car, Daddy yelled, "Hey, Ayla, what's going on?" But I smiled and said, "I'm no longer a daughter of this house. Goodbye," leaving my confused family behind. The car quietly drove off. Later, the new hotel opened successfully, and I was busy working on site from the first day when it was fully booked. Then my parents and Anna came. Daddy, who spotted me, called out, "We came to see what kind of work you're doing and to stay over. Prepare the room quickly." I wanted to ask what nerve he had, but I was too busy managing the site. Seeing this, Jack rushed over to send my family away, but they stubbornly caused a commotion in the lobby. Since I wasn't getting anywhere, when a security guard stepped in, then a woman named Brooke, who came into the lobby afterwards, exclaimed, "Oh, it's you." The teacher. I later heard that she's a nurse at Daddy's hospital, and she doesn't think highly of Daddy and Anna due to their arrogant attitude. Seeing Daddy being escorted by the security guard, she seemingly found it amusing and shared it as a funny story at work. Brooke, it turns out, is a neighbor and friend to the front desk staff, and one of them told me about it. Naturally, the rumors spread throughout the hospital, causing Daddy and Anna some embarrassment. As for Mom, she used to work at the same hospital, but has since retired. However, her retirement was a name only as the truth was she was forced to quit due to a scandal. I accidentally heard Brooke slip this information. I had another job to attend to and was at a different hotel when my parents and Anna came to the hotel again. Frustrated at their audacity, I had no hesitation in calling the police, and they were taken away for obstruction of business. Because of Daddy and Anna's past behavior, the rumor quickly spread in the hospital. The hospital, already struggling financially, was apparently forced to shut down. Passing by my family's home a little while later, I saw it was vacant. They must have sold it out of financial desperation. I also heard rumors that Anna's attempts at matchmaking had failed, so maybe various local gossip forced them to leave. I've changed my cell number so they can't contact me, and of course, I have no intention of contacting them either. With the opening of the new hotel settled, I'm looking forward to my wedding next month with wonderful Jack by my side. Both my work and personal life are looking brighter than ever.